He's mentioned that fight that he'd like to see you face him next. You seem like, and your team have said that if it was presented, say if everything was agreed with financially, you would take it. Is that the case? You would just fight Alexander Usyk next?
Of course, belt to ass, baby.
All of them. Are you ready for all of them?
What do you reckon, Gareth?
I think you're ready. I think you're ready. We sat down in January at the beginning of the year and you said by the end of the year he could be world champion.
Absolutely. I totally agree with it. I think just if we can get maybe one in before December and then a big fight in December.
Joseph Parker, Ajit Kabayel, who would you think?
They're not going to chuck names around. I don't think we need to. We're in a great position ranking wise, but I think he's ready for the big guys now.
Alexander Usyk included in that list?
Absolutely.
Alexander Usyk, would you prefer to spend time with him in his training camp for his next fight or fight him next?
Fight him next, then spend time with him.
Everybody's talking right now because Turki Usyk says he wants Moses Atma to fight the veteran Alexander Usyk. And guess what? Moses isn't scared one bit. After smashing Whyte in just one round, he's already looking straight at Usyk with fire in his eyes. He truly believes his skills are better than the champs, and he's even saying he can get another first-round knockout. That kind of confidence is hard to look past, and it makes fans wonder if this young lion is really ready to take the crown.
Just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me because I've never been in that sort of fight.
It wasn't only Moses saying it. People around the ring saw his hunger too. The second Ben Davidson repeated Moses' words, the whole place buzzed with shock. What's coming next is clear. No hesitation, no fear. That's the mindset that takes down champions. Usyk may be famous for staying calm, but Moses is changing the game, asking for the biggest fight right after destroying Whyte. That's the kind of bold move that makes fans believe a new king is about to rise.
Let's talk about what it means, though. He said in the ring, what's next, what's next, what's next? I'll fight anyone. He said he'd love a shot at Usyk.
But it's not just fans whispering about Moses. Top heavyweights are already backing him to beat Usyk. Even Joseph Parker admitted it's tough for any fighter to handle Moses, and that includes Usyk. That tells you this isn't just hype. It's real. At only 20, Moses fights with the kind of hunger that makes him a nightmare matchup. Usyk has the experience, but Moses' raw youth and power are the kind that can rip right through that comfort zone.
Moses is young, 20 years old. You know, he's on a climb up, and he's got it's like this attitude that can't be beaten. I'm gonna smash everyone. That's the attitude we all have when we're young, growing up. You know,
So if Parker's respect didn't already prove the point, the noise from across the pond makes it even louder. Joe Rogan straight up called Moses one of the best ever. Yeah, it sounds crazy this early, but after he iced Whyte in one round, it doesn't feel so wild. His movement is unreal for a heavyweight, almost alien, and that's exactly the kind of style that could crack Usyk's puzzle. Moses isn't sitting around waiting to be great. He's showing us he already is.
Of this era, I think he's one of the best of all time. I really do. I think he's one of the best heavyweights of all time.
When Moses says 100% about fighting Usyk next, it isn't just a bit of confidence, it's a straight up challenge. He's not chasing easy names or hiding behind the rankings. He's aiming right at the top, and that's almost unheard of for a 20-year-old heavyweight. Usyk built his legend as the slick master, the guy who outsmarts bigger men, but now he's staring at a whole new kind of danger, a young explosive puncher who ripped through Dillian Whyte like paper. Moses isn't here to take baby steps, he's here to take over, and when someone this young, fearless, and destructive says he's ready, the whole division feels the tremor. Usyk's aura of being untouchable, Moses cracked it with a single sentence.
There's no loss in that. Do you get what I mean? I would take that fight 100%.
Tony Bellew, a man who's been in there with Usyk and knows exactly what that storm feels like, isn't holding back. He's saying no one beats Moses. That's not just hype, that's a fighter's truth. Bellew's been hit by Usyk, tested by his skill, and yet he still sees Moses as the one nobody can touch. Why? Because Moses isn't your typical heavyweight, he's the full package. He's trimmed the excess, sharpened his style, and is already proving he can end fights against top names with frightening ease. Usyk's game has always been about clever angles, timing, and outlasting opponents. But when you put that up against Moses' aggression, speed, and raw confidence, those tricks start to look fragile. Picture it, Usyk trying to set the tempo, only for Moses to blow straight through before the rhythm is even there. Bellew sees it, fans are starting to believe it, and soon Usyk himself might have no choice but to face it. The question isn't if Moses can beat him, it's how fast will it happen.
I never will. There's no one who's going to beat him. I just think technically, physically now, he's at the weight and he's adapted and he's adjusted. I mean, he's even adjusted and adapted his weight for this fight individually. I mean, he put on how much weight and slowed his actual feet down because Daniel Dubois' feet were slow.
And the buzz kept growing because even more heavy hitters started speaking on Moses versus Usyk. When Billy himself says Moses is the future of the heavyweight division, that's not just a compliment, it's like passing him the torch. Sure, Usyk is a master technician. Sure, he's beaten everyone, even Bellew. But now the stage is set for something rare. Unbeaten Usyk against unbeaten Moses. That's not just a fight, it's a clash of eras. Usyk stands for the old guard, the patient, clever craftsman who's outsmarted bigger men. Moses is the new breed, raw, explosive, and unafraid of anyone. And when two unbeaten fighters collide, history always remembers. Bellew's words feel almost like prophecy, the veteran king's reign cut short by a 20-year-old lion who refuses to wait in line. Usyk may be exceptional, but even exceptional doesn't last forever, especially when a young monster is already pounding on the door ready to break it down.
Balloon for him, he needs the victory here. So, look, we find out just how good Moses Itauma is, I think, on the 16th of August when he boxes Dillian Whyte, because I think he wins it and wins it in style. But everyone they put in front of him so far, he's just dismantled. I think this kid's going to go on and win a world title, and it could be as soon as 12 months.
Spencer Oliver isn't sugarcoating anything. He flat out believes Moses doesn't just beat anyone, he does it with style. That's a straight shot at Usyk's aura of invincibility. For years, Usyk has made world-class fighters look like amateurs. But Oliver flips the question, what happens when Usyk is the one made to look ordinary? That's where the unbeaten versus unbeaten storyline becomes electric. Usyk's zero has been his pride, his armor, his proof of dominance. But Moses carries in zero too, one forged with youth, momentum, and highlight reel knockouts. This isn't just another fight, it's a collision of eras, where one perfect record must fall so the other can rise. And Oliver isn't hesitant. He's betting on Moses to be the executioner, the man who slams the door on Usyk's reign and kicks off his own dynasty. When someone says it with that level of certainty, the boxing world has no choice but to pay attention.
Conor Bennett appears doesn't want to speak to Simon, but that's fine. We'll go over that. In the meantime, and by no means in any way a substitute of any sort, we're delighted that Derek Chisora joins us live from Turkey. We've heard from David Hay, we've heard from Paul Smith.
And if seasoned analysts weren't enough, Derek Chisora's words hit like a siren. This wasn't banter. This was a battle-scarred veteran firing a warning shot. When Chisora says, stay away from Moses, you listen because he's lived through the wars. He's fought Usyk, Joshua, Fury, and he knows the smell of real danger. Moses is 8, Nabu 0, 6 by brutal knockout, leaving opponents crumbling under pressure. Every fight so far has been a showcase of raw destruction. Compare that to Usyk's 21 Nabu 0, fights built on tactical brilliance, outthinking and outmaneuvering giants over 12 draining rounds. Usyk wins by decision, by chess. Moses wins by demolition, by sledgehammer. That's the danger Chisora is pointing at. When an unbeaten technician meets an unbeaten wrecking ball, experience alone doesn't matter. It comes down to whose style breaks first. And right now, Moses looks like he can't be stopped. Chisora knows it, the fans feel it, and deep down, Usyk does too.
First time headlining, big Saudi card against somebody that, you know, in my personal opinion, I think this recent era is the best era in history of British heavyweight boxing. And Dillian's been a significant part in.
And if the veterans are warning Usyk, Moses' own coach is pouring gasoline on the fire. Jordan Vine doesn't just praise him, he dissects what makes him terrifying. Consistency, growth. Obsession with improvement. In only 8 fights, Moses has shown levels most heavyweights don't reach in 20. He's blasting through opponents, learning on the job, and making it look effortless. Usyk's 21-1-0, built step by step, years of climbing through cruiserweight, dominating with movement, outsmarting giants, then finally taking over at heavyweight. A long, patient climb. Moses is doing it in months. That's the nightmare. The speed of his rise. When a fighter evolves this quickly, there's no blueprint to prepare. You can't study tape because by the time you do, he's already better. And that's what Vine is hinting at. Usyk has never faced this kind of danger. A 20-year-old with youth, explosiveness, and a work ethic sharpened daily in the gym. Moses isn't just catching up, he's sprinting past. And even for a champion as brilliant as Usyk, that might be impossible to stop.
Something about him, you could see it, and his dedication from then to now has not changed. And obviously the trajectory of how much he's improved is seeing it, isn't you? So 175 is his best.
And now even the biggest names in boxing are sensing the inevitable. Eddie Hearn himself is calling for it, unbeaten versus unbeaten. He frames it perfectly. The ultimate clash. Usyk, 21-0, 14 knockouts. Moses, 8-0, 6 knockouts. But the difference is night and day. Usyk's path has been long and calculated, tactical decisions, technical masterclasses, victories earned round after round. Moses's path? Fast and destructive, men collapsing in single rounds, careers ended before they've even begun. That's why this fight would be electric. 2 spotless records. 2 completely different blueprints, but only one can survive. Usyk leans on patience, angles, stamina. Moses brings youth, raw power, and explosive aggression. It's brains versus brawn, technician versus wrecking ball. And that's the beauty. Fans love when 2 unbeatens collide because there's no excuses, no what ifs, just truth. If Moses dethrones Usyk, it won't just be a win, it will be the most dramatic passing of the torch boxing has seen in years. And Hearn knows it. This isn't just a fight, it's a generational shift waiting to happen.
Moses is an exceptional talent. You know, he's been in the game a long time. He's got a very, long-standing amateur record and pedigree as well.
And if you think it's just hype, listen to Anthony Joshua himself, a man who knows both sides of this story. Joshua has sparred Moses. He's felt the power. He's studied the style. And even AJ admits, Moses is the one to edge it. That's a massive statement from a former heavyweight king. Joshua knows exactly what it's like to face Usyk. Twice he went 12 rounds with him. Twice he was outboxed, out-timed, outmaneuvered, outsmarted. Joshua understands Usyk's rhythm, his footwork, his elusive movement better than almost anyone alive. And yet, after sharing rounds with Moses, AJ leans toward the young lion. That tells you everything. Moses, just 8 knees, 0. Usyk, 21 knees, 0. And still Joshua backs the kid against the champion. That's unbeaten versus unbeaten with real substance. Joshua believes Moses can succeed where he failed. Because while Usyk picked him apart over distance, Moses brings something entirely different. Knockout power delivered with blistering speed. If Joshua says Moses is the one, then maybe Usyk's empire is already standing on shaky ground.
Honestly, and you're only as good as your team, but I think he's got a really good team around him. After being in the ring with him and studying him, still studying him now, I think that he's the one to edge it.
And if Joshua's respect wasn't enough, listen to the trainers. Even the coaches are sounding the alarm. Dave Caldwell, a man who's seen every side of this sport, lays it out crystal clear. Usyk cannot afford mistakes against Moses Itauma. This isn't a chess match with rounds to settle in. One slip, one wrong move, and Moses ends it. That's the reality of unbeaten versus unbeaten. Usyk's 21-0 polished style against Moses's raw, destructive knockout power. Caldwell hints at Usyk's only path. Slow Moses down, drag him deep, force the young lion to swim in unfamiliar waters. But here's the truth. Every opponent so far has tried. Everyone has failed. Moses smashes through their plans before they can even execute. Usyk may be a master of survival, but against a fighter this young, this fresh, this ruthless, the danger never leaves. Caldwell's words don't sound like a strategy for victory. They sound like a survival guide. And when experts are warning Usyk before the first bell even rings, you know the unbeaten aura is already under fire.
Very difficult fight for him. It's a very difficult fight for him. You know, he can't afford to bite on Itauma's triggers and feints. He's got to land something early to get some respect off of Moses as well. And it's called the body snatcher. I think he's got to dig that body. He's got to try and take away the sharpness from Itauma.
And that leads us perfectly to the real build-up, because unbeaten versus unbeaten isn't hype, it's legacy on the line. So here it is, the collision the boxing world can't stop talking about. Moses Itauma, 8-0-6 knockouts. Alexander Usyk, 21-0-14 knockouts. Two unbeaten fighters, two completely different paths. Usyk, the slick technician, the pound-for-pound wizard who's conquered cruiserweight and heavyweight with brains, timing, and patience. Moses, the storm. He doesn't outpoint you, he erases you. That's why this fight isn't about belts. It's about collision. It's about destiny colliding head-on. Usyk fights to cement his name among the all-time greats. Moses fights to snatch that crown before he's even hit his prime. And here's the real question. When youth power and fearlessness crash into experience, skill, and composure, which side breaks first? Usyk's zero has survived giants, but Moses brings a danger he's never faced before. This is unbeaten versus unbeaten at its purest. One legacy must die so another can be born. Whose side are you on? Drop your take in the comments below.